Hey everyone, how's it going? Luke from A Taste of AZ. On today's episode of the podcast, we've got the folks over at Soda Jerk Milkshake Bar. They're making crazy over-the-top milkshakes that are awesome and really delicious. Make sure to follow them on social media as well as A Taste of AZ. Let's jump into the podcast.
All right, well, we'll just start then. We are here at Soda Jerk on High Street. How do you, when people say where's High Street, how do you describe it to them?
North Phoenix, near Desert Ridge Marketplace.
And most people know Desert Ridge at this point,
That's
right?
right, yeah.
I used to love Desert Ridge. And then High Street came. I'm like, I love High Street.
We love High Street, yeah.
It's beautiful.
We're here with the Smiths, Dustin and Kylee. Thank you for having us in here.
We love being here.
And Luke,
Yes, of course.
welcome.
Joining along.
Luke is catching up on me of a number of podcast episodes hosted, I think.
Not quite.
We're getting there.
You're about 100-something ahead of me, but
Well,
I'm racking with you up.
Well, you don't count the beer ones. This is just food. It's
Sure.
a whole different realm, right? But no, guys, thanks for having us in. This is really cool. This place is beautiful, but it's just the beginning of the experience. Is that right?
That's true.
Yeah. So are you guys from Arizona originally?
We both are, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Wow.
Yep. In fact, went to high school together.
It's true.
Where? Like we're at in Phoenix.
Mesa.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys have known each other a long time then.
Long time.
Been a while.
Yeah. So have you guys always been in food? Like in the food and
No,
beverage
we've
industry?
always been interested in food, but
Okay.
we've actually spent most of our careers in the location-based entertainment space. So theme parks, museums, small local attractions, that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
all along, we've believed that food is a big component of any of those if done right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we've appreciated seeing over the last 10 years Disney and Universal and the others in that space
Yeah.
picking up the quality of food instead of it being like an afterthought. Now it's an attraction. We believe in that approach.
Yeah. People will pay, right? They'll pay for it, right?
Yep, exactly.
Well, and food enhances all experiences, right? Like that's where our family memories are mostly based on is
Yeah.
around food, around the kitchen and the table, and all
Yeah.
of that.
Now that you have this, is that elevated now? Are there more people like your family coming in and wanting to eat at your table? And
Oh,
eat these
absolutely.
shakes?
Yeah, we have get our lines out, and then all of a sudden, a friendly face, and yeah, it's awesome.
Lots of lines. You guys have dealt with lots of lines over your
have.
short history.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah.
That's been fun.
Yeah. Challenging?
It
at
is.
times?
Well, I mean, we really appreciate the response we've gotten from the community, especially in a difficult operating environment. So that's been super helpful. But yeah, we had to learn some hard lessons operationally and act as quickly as we could to figure out how to get more product in stock and where to store it. And we doubled the size of our team the first 2 weeks and had to do all the training and everything. So there were some hurdles for sure, but it's worked out really well.
Is that a normal noise?
Ice,
That's ice dropping.
ice machine. Sorry.
Somebody might have just fell through the roof. I don't know. You've seen those videos, right? Criminals trying to break in, but no, we're
Someone
good.
that got trapped in the escape maze.
Exactly.
Did you see
Just
that?
found their way out.
That was
No.
hilarious. Yeah,
Wait,
yeah,
what
yeah.
happened?
Oh,
Somebody
so
got-
in Europe, I think it was,
Yeah.
somebody
A year
broke
ago.
into an escape room and then couldn't figure out how to get out. So before they got out, the police showed up and apprehended them. Yeah, really funny.
That
Bad idea.
that is a horrible idea. Yeah. Great promotion for the escape room, though, right?
Totally.
Yes. Well, we left we gave a little hint right there, but we'll get into that aspect of
Okay.
it because there is something back there.
Behind the door.
Behind the door, yes. So, how did you guys decide to do this? You don't have experience necessarily in the operational side of it, so why'd you do
So,
this?
and it's not that we're void of experience in the operational side. Kylee actually helped manage a confection shop at Disneyland back in the day.
okay.
And so
Okay.
that's where her passion for this side of it came from. And she's actually been a part of several restaurant turnarounds and growing some restaurant brands and stuff. So we've been in that space a little, but not to this extent.
Where it's you guys, it's all you.
It's on our shoulders, right?
Only about them.
From recipes to execution, the whole thing being right on us. This is our first time. So it really started, honestly, because we wanted to open a new and unique form of entertainment and do next level escape rooms. And as we were starting to build our plans for that and doing our design, we started looking around the country saying, what kind of cool entrances exist for escape rooms? And
so escape room was the core.
That was the core. Yeah.
Start.
And
Nice.
we felt like we hadn't found anything that we just loved. And so we wanted to do this thing where when you come in, you feel like you're sneaking in and you really get to bite into the experience before you ever get into the game. And so that's where we started thinking about what would be a cool entrance. And we said, well, we really should have a candy shop or an ice cream shop, something fun. And then as we thought about how that experience plays out and realized that people want to sit down after a game and commiserate because they lost or celebrate because they won.
Yeah.
And it's way better to do that over a milkshake than it is without that. And so we started baking this concept. And once we started thinking of what this could be, we just fell in love with what the Soda Jerk would become, and it became what it is.
I like in you use a lot of food words as this was baked into the idea. I love it. So the escape room was the idea.
It was.
Everything else was built around it. What was the concept that you guys have for the escape room currently? Like the theme of what it is?
Yeah, so the premise on the escape room really came about because we felt like when you walk into a typical escape room, you're in a space that just kind of feels, in a lot of cases, kind of like you're in a doctor's office, or it could be any nondescript office.
Okay.
And then you step through a door and boom, now I'm in a different land. I'm in Egypt. And that's like, to us, that's a hard sell. So we wanted a little bit more of a story arc before you even got in there. So the Nemesis Club, as it stands, is actually this place where, in a fictional world, is where heroes and villains come to hang out and enjoy a milkshake together and play a game, which is what the escape games are. In fact, they build the games that they then play against each other. And so our story was, now this place is opening up for the rest of the world to come and play. And so we wanted to do elevated games, better experience across the board. And it was like, what product can we produce from a dessert standpoint that can live up to what we're trying to do on the entertainment side?
Yeah.
And so that's what evolved into. Yeah, so you asked the question, is that what we envisioned to begin with? It is. I mean, it always evolves, but we're incorporating Soda Jerk more and more into what Nemesis Club is all about because we've had such a positive response from this.
Yeah, all along your
Oh, my
phone's
phone.
ringing.
I'm sorry.
Come on, Dustin.
Yeah, I know. Amateur.
He didn't get the memo, Luke. Did we
All
send a memo
along-
out for this one? Yeah, we did. I thought so.
Dustin would talk about the escape games, and he'd be dreaming of it and creating it, and I would say, well, we've got the ice cream shop up front. And he's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, it could go big. It could go big, Dust, and and sure enough, it has. It's gone really well.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's, and I'm sure this was part of the whole thing is, I don't know, when I think of superheroes, especially when you look at like the kind of the design back there, it is like the retro superhero, right? Which this concept is that retro concept as well, right? That was...
Yeah, we love playing to nostalgia, right?
Yeah.
People like that throwback a little bit, although we always try to do it in a way that pulls it forward into the future. So when people walk into our shop, they'll often comment on, like, it's this blend of both authentic feeling vintage, but it feels today. Yeah. And that was all by design, right? That was all very deliberate. And so then we wanted the shakes to kind of be the same thing, where you get this experience with the Soda Jerk making your shake for you, but then when it comes out, man, this isn't your mom's. So this isn't your mom's milkshake, right?
Yeah.
This is over the top.
I don't understand how you guys hold them together. Like, I can't wait to see. That doesn't make sense. Like gravity, like where? I don't understand science enough.
Well, and especially like ice cream too. I was taking shots for an article yesterday, and within 15 seconds of getting the ice cream, it started falling apart on me.
Yeah.
And I had to really be shooting it quick to get the look I needed. So I can't imagine how you guys have built the structures that you do with ice cream and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is a lot too to keeping all of that at the right temperature, getting your milk just at the right temperature so that it comes out as cold as possible. There have been great lessons learned that way to figure out how to make these things structurally stand up. But ice cream and whipped cream help a lot.
Yeah. And nevertheless, you should eat it quickly.
Yes.
Sure. That's the point, right?
It will fall apart. It will fall apart.
Especially
Don't
in
take it far.
Arizona too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, even in the winter.
We haven't done a summer yet, so that'll be fun to hit too.
Ah, that's right.
Even our hot chocolates though, like our hot chocolates, we go over the top. So we do a hot chocolate with a waffle bowl on top, a scoop of ice cream, whipped cream, and other toppings. And so it's best of both worlds, right? You get the hot and you get the cold, which is cool. But then making sure that waffle bowl, the ice cream doesn't melt through the waffle bowl quickly and all that. That's good fun.
Yeah. Well, when did it turn from like, all right, this would be cool to do, to like, all right, let's start doing the things we got to do? Was that recently?
when we let's see. When we have partners in the business, and we actually sold the concept as being escape rooms with maybe a little bit of an ice cream shop up front. And we were deep in the design phase. It was like January, February of last year. And
Of 2020?
2020,
Okay.
yeah. And we were really trying to make this become a bigger and bigger part, because we could just feel that this was going to be an important component. And we started working on recipes. We were making hundreds of shakes in the kitchen and at home. And we have 4 kids. They loved that.
I was going to say,
era
like,
of our
who
life.
are your neighbors and where are you still in Mesa? Like, what?
Right. Yeah, we live out in Gilbert now, but our Gilbert friends have appreciated trying some shakes. But as we were doing that, and we started swinging hammers here on the space, the COVID stuff started happening. And so we recognized that might pose some hurdles, especially perceptual hurdles for the Nemesis Club. And so we said, let's make sure that when Soda Jerk hits, we've done just a phenomenal job with quality ingredients and recipes and all of that. And so
Yeah.
that started, so I guess probably March of 2020. And then
Perfect timing.
yeah, right. That was
It's great.
scary to say the least, but
Yeah.
has worked out.
And then, so you guys opened the doors in October. So
October.
how did you decide on High Street?
Oh man. So we actually were working on about 4 different spaces simultaneously, trying to find the place that we thought was just right. And we were looking for something that would feel high quality and high traffic, because that's what we were going for, is a little more upscale.
Yeah.
We had played with a couple spaces in Gilbert. We even played with trying to help the downtown Mesa effort push forward by doing a really cool concept down there. And several of the things were falling apart. We think partly because, like, you guys walk into a meeting with the landlord and you say, we want to do a soda shop up front, and in the back have escape rooms, and they look at you like, I don't even understand.
I don't get it.
I don't get it. You're gonna have to show me, right?
Yeah.
So even with renderings and stuff, that was hard. It was a hard sell. But up here at High Street, first of all, we love the feel up here. It's just got, especially at night with those lights and everything, it's got such a cool vibe.
Yep.
We love some of the other restaurants that are down here. Hula's opened just before we did. We love that place. People come here for the margaritas and the tacos, and it's just fun that way.
Yeah.
Rick Bronson's comedy club next door, the pizza. Yeah, there's great stuff here. We thought we'd be a fun addition to that, and so did the landlord. And so they got excited about what we were talking about, and this came together faster than the other stuff we were working on. So this is where we are.
I'm glad it did, because this is the closest to me.
Is that right?
Yeah. So I'm 20 minutes. I'm over by like the North Tire area.
Oh, yeah,
so,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, my wife and kids are going to love coming in here. Yes.
Love it.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll say we've been surprised at how far people have been willing to drive to get a shake. We've had Flagstaff and Tucson for sure.
Wow.
The other week we had someone fly in from San Francisco to try a shake. That's so
Really?
far the farthest. So
Wow.
we need some New Yorkers, we need some Chicagoans.
Well, how did it, like, so you were telling us before, like, how it, took off. So you find this space and you guys start building it out. And I mean, is the excitement rising? Obviously, right? Nervousness and all that.
Well, for sure.
For sure. I think one of the important stories about the Soda Jerk and the name, we get a lot of people coming in and saying, like, I thought you were going to have soda in here. I don't understand what this name is all about.
Yeah.
And we have to explain what a soda jerk is, which is, someone who in the 1920s, 1930s would actually make soda. And
Pharmacists, usually.
It would have to be a pharmacist, because creating soda at that time was actually a very complicated chemical process. And so they would have to pull on these major handles that would actually, and they'd jerk on them. They were hard to do. And then they would get, their flavors. They would make root beer out of roots. And, we all kind of know the Coca-Cola had cocaine, those kind of...
Wait. Explain that in more detail.
Those kind of stories from...
Fake news.
from back in the day. But then they found that with prohibition and everything else, and, and depression and everything else that was going on back then, that soda parlors actually became a place for families to come and to be together and to actually go out and enjoy life. Whereas previously it had been the family staying at home and the men going to bars.
Okay.
And so soda parlors were actually credited with like the saving the family in some historian books.
Very
So
interesting.
we loved that concept. And then of course you have the soda jerk, who was standing there, and he was the one that would make all these concoctions and talk to you about your day and do whatever you kind of dreamed up right then. So
the family-friendly version of a bar, right? I mean, that's kind of what the Soda Jerk became. He's a bartender for sugar.
Yep, absolutely. And so that resonated with us, and especially with the escape games and you bond in an escape game, with your friends or family, whoever is there, like nothing else you can do in a short amount of time, right?
Sure.
You're just working together. And so it was a good marriage between those two concepts for us.
Yeah.
So it was
It's almost like a stark contrast, right? Where it's like this upfront, like shiny smile, Soda Jerk, everything.
Definitely.
Like it literally looks like teeth. Like, I mean, not in a good way. the Tyler, but it's then in the back you've got the guns in the cage. I should explain that, right? Or you should explain what I mean by guns in the cage.
So what he's talking about is when people enter the Nemesis Club from here, and you're totally right, that was a very deliberate design decision, right? Is it would be bright and cheery out here. All the colors that are used are candy looking colors.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There you go.
And
you can move it around if you need.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
that was the idea. Is you're here. It's bright, cheerful, candy-ish, and then right when you walk through the secret door, it's dark and mysterious and moody, and just has that feel. And so that first room that you're in, we call it the Cloak and Dagger room. You get to drop off your coats and your weapons on your way in. We hope that actually nobody desires to drop off their weapons. We don't want to be handling them for them. But in the story world, that's the idea, right?
Yeah.
Is a spy comes in, takes off his tuxedo, drops off his guns, puts on his game suit, and he goes and he plays a game and hangs out with his nemesis right here in the club. Yeah. And so that vibe was important. That up here we got vintage but friendly, and in the back we kind of carried on that vintage flair, but it goes a little more speakeasy feeling.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of the aesthetic in The Incredibles, where it's a nod to the vintage feel, but has that updated vibe to it. And like I was saying when we were back there, it feels like you're in a Disneyland ride waiting line in a good way, where it's that immersive. I was very impressed when I started walking through a few of the rooms.
Thank you. Yeah. We believe in story worlds. That's kind of where we come from. I spent some time running a company that does kids entertainment and loved doing it, but I was always wanting to do more story-driven stuff. We actually did a little bit of consulting work for companies like Disney and just fell in love with the way people eat up stories.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to bring that to kind of a local scene entertainment play.
Do you have a science or an engineering background or anything like that? Because it seems like you come from a very analytical approach, even the way you were designing the recipes.
Yeah. So, funny enough, I have an accounting degree.
Yeah.
I never wanted to do accounting, but 2 accounting degrees. So, I never wanted to do accounting, but wanted to know the language of business. In fact, she's the bookkeeper because I don't want to.
Because I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I don't want to do it. I'd rather do other stuff.
And I love a good spreadsheet. Crunching all those numbers and
it's actually not true. She hates it, but she does what's necessary. So really, what happened is we were interested in entertainment early on, and like I said, before we got married, she was working at Disneyland, doing confections and things like that. And after I got my degree in accounting, we went to California, where I went to UCLA to get my MBA, and so that's kind of the analytical background comes from business school.
Okay.
But while I was there, they let you take classes from any school at UCLA while you're getting your MBA. And so I started taking classes in the theater, film, and television school from the guy who was the head of Imagineering's R&D group, and just fell in love with the depth of detail that goes into telling a story. And so that's what kind of launched us in the trajectory of business meets entertainment and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
And I mean, Kylie's been along for that whole journey.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We've had a lot of fun
doing the stuff he doesn't want to do, apparently, right?
Actually, no. So I'm the one who often there's 2 things about me that can go wrong. Number 1, I dream too big sometimes, and number 2, I'm too much of a perfectionist. And she has great vision, but is able to say, okay, love where you're going with that. How do we make that a product that we can actually serve? How's that something we can build? And then she's the one who also says it's time to get open, even though I'm like, there's like weeks left to get this perfect. And so that's a good bet.
Sounds like our business partnership.
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
Somebody's got to be the rubber meets the road person, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm floating in the clouds with, this is a great idea. He's like, great idea. How do we do that? I'm like,
It'll
How do we
be
do that?
10 p.m. at night, which I know is far past Eric's bedtime, and I'll get a precursor text. Oh, I've had a beer or two, or I've had some whiskey, and then an onslaught of ideas will come my way.
Here it comes.
Some are better than others.
Yeah. Yeah. In the morning, I go through and I'm like, yeah, that one was dumb, but I do like that one. There's some legs to that one.
You have to get bad ideas on the table, or else you never come up with a brilliant idea.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, I mean, this whole everything is incredible. Let's start with the shakes, right? So you guys open is there any pull between, like, is that business going to pull from this one or anything like that? Is that a concern?
A concern, no. It's something we think a lot about, right?
Okay.
Is how do we balance these two businesses? No, from a promotional standpoint, if nothing else, because
Sure.
the Nemesis Club is like a wink, wink secret, right? And
Yeah.
so how do we promote that up here without ruining the surprise and all of that? That's been a little bit of a tricky balance. But no, we when we started, what would you say? We thought that maybe a quarter of the people who played a game would end up buying a shake, and we kept pushing for, like, how can we make a product that's good enough that everyone wants it? And so almost everyone who comes through and plays a game now ends up getting a shake, because we're known for the shakes, which has been really cool, right?
Yeah.
And delivers on that experience we wanted, where it's like, come together with your friends and family and have that whole energy building experience, and you kind of get the climax right at the end of the game. And then a lot of times you beat a game and it's like, out the door, see you later, and you never get that denouement, right? You never get that moment of, like, hey, collectively celebrating and feeling like you'd achieved something together. And so I think people desire that and crave that. And so the milkshakes actually gives you, like, this really cool opportunity to sit down after a game and get that moment.
Yeah. Excitement.
It seems like they would play off each other really well, too, because the kind of people who are lighthearted and fun to do an escape maze would definitely seem like the same people who would order a crazy over-the-top milkshake in all the best ways.
Yeah.
It's also been really great to see. So as the Soda Jerk's been running, we find that birthday parties are, without us knowing, just all of a sudden we'll have 15-year-olds standing in our front here. And we're like, hey, what's happening? And so the people just bring their birthday parties, and then they take their shakes and they celebrate outside. But now now that the Nemesis Club has been open, it's been a great pairing to be able to say, like, hey, you can have this experience and have your birthday, and all of that. So those have been really good ways to combine celebrations as well. And so it's been fun to see them work together in that sense too. Yeah.
And like I said, we'll be totally honest about this. We thought that the escape rooms were the business, and that we might sell some milkshakes, but it made a really cool entrance, and, like, hey, great for everyone who buy it. That's awesome. But it's turned out to almost be the opposite. So far, we only have one game open. It'll shift a little, but right now it's like, this is a great business for us. We love operating it. Customers love it. And by the way, did you know we have some really cool experiences in the back, right?
Yeah.
And so it's been opposite of what we thought, but it's worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know where it's going to go. I lost.
You're good.
I've done good with Luke.
I'm getting lost in a few of the shakes over
I was
here.
like
Actually
a partners in
rooting through them,
crime.
they're
I'm like, I
crazy.
had a question, but then I'm like, what are those things? They're already cold in the thing. And this is really cool. So, all right, I remember I was going to go with this. So doors are open.
Yeah.
The goal is always, right, okay, I hope people come, right? And they came.
They came. They came. You want to tell some of that story? That's fine.
Yeah, we weren't sure. There is
COVID environment, especially.
COVID
right?
environment.
Sure.
There are other places around the United States that are doing we call them killer shakes, called freak shakes, or whatever you might call them.
Yeah.
Dustin always, when we were creating them, was always pushing me to make them higher quality, always pushing me to make them more exciting, more of a spectacle.
Yeah.
And so we just kept pushing that, and it turns out that is what people want. We've been really surprised. Like, people will come in and they'll order a shake, and the picture's the first most important thing,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
Didn't happen. If you
they
did
get the
yeah.
picture first, but then we've been really excited to hear people say, like, this tastes really good. I expected it to be way too sugary, way too and just, I think the balance of flavors and the balance of the high quality ingredients brings the sugar content down in the shakes. And so they become this really delicious product rather than this sugary spectacle.
Sure.
And that has been a really important part of it. It's not just, an expensive photograph that you
Right.
can make your friends jealous with, right?
That too, but, yeah.
but it tastes really good too.
Yeah.
So, and like Kylie mentioned, there are other people doing shakes on this scale, and some of them doing it really well. Some of them doing it for the spectacle. We feel as we tasted them, we were always. Not always, often left feeling like there was a little more to give on the quality of the product side. And so we actually started from a foundation of how do we make something beautiful that when people taste, they say that's amazing. And so it's like we wanted the Instagrammers to be coming in, and then we wanted them to be saying like, holy cow, this is actually really good shake, right?
Yeah.
That was the idea. So, I mean, to give you a preview of some of that, like we partnered with Dan's Ice and Dairy to get fresh local milk in glass bottles because we just think that keeps it at the right temperature and tasting that much better. Their milk is amazing. We love it.
And that's a local. That's
Local dairy.
Local dairy out of Phoenix.
Is that how do you say it?
Dan's Ice.
All right, because I see it and I'm like, girls, I got chocolate milk.
Yeah, I know.
What kind? I'm like, not Trader Joe's. It's not Trader Joe's.
You're right.
Yeah.
It is. We love it. And even from the ice creams and everything, we worked really hard to find the best vendors we could who like with our ice cream, we tried 30 different brands of ice cream, and we don't make our own. We talked about making our own, but that was going to add a level of complexity. But we said, if we're not going to make our own, it has to be a great product. And so we were trying stuff to make sure that it stood up right and it could hold some of the inclusions right, and that it stood up against the milk flavor right, and all of that. And so that took many, 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 many iterations to get to where we were happy with the shake. And then we started talking about what are the right ingredients. We have to make our cotton candy in-house. We have to make our waffles in-house, all that stuff.
I can see where he goes.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, yeah. I think his favorite part was the soda. I think he's a big soda fan.
I
and
love soda.
Yeah.
we must have tried. I have a spreadsheet.
Sodas. You need one with
Yes.
guys like this guy.
No, it's the
myself
truth.
as well.
but we wanted, like, even our floats, right? It's the same thing. Is if you have a great vanilla ice cream, you need a soda that stands up against it and complements rather than either gets lost,
Washes it out, yeah.
or and that's really easy to do. And so we played with craft sodas. We played with some very small soda manufacturers. We played with some of the big guys, and we actually we landed on what we think is a great combination and makes for really great floats.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stubborn soda is what
Stubborn.
we use.
Stubborn soda. Okay. All right,
Yeah.
I'm keeping notes of all of these. Yeah. It's
A craft soda that's actually owned by Pepsi, but we just love the flavors. We think they're fantastic.
And it's cool how you guys are dissecting each ingredient. All right, now how does this one fit into with everything, right? Because there's so many things you have to consider. It's not just a matter of like the way I do things. Sometimes just throw everything in a bowl, stir it up, and eat it.
Probably tastes good.
Yeah.
Well, but like to your point, our whipped cream, we played with that for a while, and we wanted a whipped cream that knocked down the sweetness just a little bit. And so we make all of our whipped cream fresh, like hourly, to make sure that it comes out right. And so that is one of the components that helps bring the sweetness down just a touch. Yeah. So
fresh whipped cream makes all the difference.
all the difference. Yeah.
And you got to try the chocolate whipped cream.
Chocolate whipped cream.
Once you've had chocolate whipped cream,
Our cereal killer comes with Fruity Pebble whipped cream. Takes 2 days to make. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's
and a Pop Tart.
And
I
a
like how it's a Pop Tart right on.
Just go for it.
Yeah, sometimes that's just what I eat. It's just a Pop Tart, but this is just one thing on
one of the toppings.
Yeah. So you open, right, and
Yeah.
things got a little crazy for you. I mean, good though. Like busy. Like not expecting this to be
as busy as it was. No, that's true. We were lucky early on to get some social media coverage and some traditional media coverage both. The first week we opened, we're like, oh, we've got this. We're busy. This is cool. Everything's fine. Our staff is feeling pretty good. And then, and then we got a media hit. In like one day, I think we were on a news channel, a TikToker with 2.5 million followers or something like that featured us. We were on Instagram with a couple big Instagrammers all in one day. And the next day there was like an hour-and-a-half line wrapping around the corner, and our team's like, what are we going to do? And so that day I remember we scooped our last scoop of vanilla ice cream as the last customer was walking out the door, and we looked at each other just sweating, like, what are we going to, we got to figure this out.
Figure this out.
So we're buying new freezers. We doubled the size of our team that second week.
Second week being open?
Yes. Yeah. And so we're training people. And so we did, we were getting very good reviews, which we're super grateful for. Everyone who leaves reviews, we just love them. Good or bad, honestly. We like the feedback. And we did get a couple negative ones in that first week where people are like, you've got to speed up production. And so we actually put the escape rooms and everything aside and said, we've got to figure this model out, and really started chasing efficiencies and developing processes. We didn't think we'd have to. We thought it would be like, oh, we can scoop ice cream and make some milkshakes.
Doing fancy
Things are
stuff.
gonna be great. Yeah, right? That's kind of how we envisioned it. In fact, when we first did our job posting for Soda Jerks, we were like, you're going to be the guy behind the counter. It's kind of like a bartender. You're wiping the table, asking people how their day is. You know, COVID world's going to be a little bit different. We thought that's what it would be like. And no, man, it's like go all the time.
I mean, keep in mind,
different.
if you can see our restaurant, our shop here, we have 8 stools. And then we had 2 tables out front. So that was our expectation of a customer level. And then, we are at, I think we're at over 50 chairs outside. And on a Saturday, you're standing waiting for that person to stand up and snag their table. So it's been a growth process.
Well,
we're grateful for.
Which is awesome. We couldn't ask for better. It's been great.
Yeah,
What answers the question, are people going to come?
Right.
Yep, they're coming.
They're coming.
So gotta be ready.
We hope they keep coming. Right?
Well, and it was difficult because we part of that experience was having this really positive environment. So we couldn't and wouldn't let go of that excellent customer service, that friendly face. And, when you're staring at an 1.5-hour line, and you're stressed that you're going to run out of strawberry ice cream,
Yeah.
And so, and training that staff to not get stressed and to not, and still, because people come here to celebrate. They don't come here to, get, a loaf of bread and leave. They want it to be fun. And so that was part of our growth, is still keeping that quality on that side too, for the customer.
We really believe in experience and hospitality. And so, like Kylee said, figuring out, we actually didn't want to hire, for the most part, old fast food people, because we weren't fast food.
Okay.
Full service restaurants, a little different than what we're doing. And so we did get some experienced people, but by and large, we started with really fresh employees who were eager to be happy and friendly. And then we said, we can teach really friendly people how to make a milkshake.
Yeah.
But going backwards sometimes is challenging. And so we put the line out there early that we have the friendliest jerks in town. And once that stuck, we were like, now we have to figure out how to make sure our jerks stay friendly despite all the adversity of dealing with really large crowds. But they've done a phenomenal job. And I will say they've gotten super efficient. We can serve 4 times as many shakes now as we could in November without a line forming many days. And so that's been really fun to learn.
It's not long. The lines aren't long anymore.
Yeah.
They come and they go, but they don't take a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. But at first, it was a couple weeks of 1.5-hour waits.
It
right?
was. It was.
So it wasn't just one day like, all right, God, we made it through that. It's like, all right, wake up, repeat.
And we'd go out and we'd say to people, just so you know, the line's probably 1.5 hours long. And people are like, okay. And we're like, okay. It's a milkshake. But,
That's awesome.
It's been great.
They were awesome. Yeah, people were awesome.
People have been great through this.
So what's the vision moving forward? I mean, I know you guys have been in business for 6 months.
They're not even that yet, but yeah.
4.
What is the big picture with this?
So we do have to contemplate what Soda Jerk's life looks like going forward, if that's even independent from Nemesis Club. And in some situations it might be, though I think there'll be a good argument for having the tie there. We have 1 escape room open, and there will be 5 at this location. So our energy right now is focused on getting at least 2 more games open before we get too aggressive about what we want to do next. But we do plan to grow. We got in this not to have one little shop, and while we love making shakes, Kylee doesn't want to be making shakes every day. We have 4 kids who need a little bit of attention too, and 18-hour days is not appealing for a 10-year period, right? So there's got to be something else. So I spent time in franchising, and so far we've decided that that's not the route for this. Actually, that we'd rather grow this, but do it a little more organically and keep the control, to keep the flavor right, to keep the customer service right, and all of that. Which
food word again? Do you hear him?
What did I say? Oh yeah. But it's true. So we do plan to grow. We'd love to see maybe 5 to 8 locations of Soda Jerk at a minimum here in the Valley, and then start growing from there. We have experience scaling businesses, and so we look forward to seeing how we can do that without losing the charm.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. So I got to ask, because I told you I've never done an escape room. Have you done an escape room?
I have not.
So
Oh, man.
You're in for a treat.
Let's say that we've never even heard of it, right? How do you explain an escape room to someone who has no concept, or your escape room?
Yeah. Easiest way to think about it is you and your team get a task, a mission, and you're dropped into a themed set environment, and you have 60 minutes to solve a bunch of clues and figure out how to beat your mission. That's an escape room in a nutshell.
Okay.
And it's interesting because the early escape rooms were all like, get out of the room. And every time you went to play an escape room, the goal was escape the room, right?
Yeah.
And we just felt like, and the industry has moved away from that because that's limiting in a lot of ways. And so when we started, we even started talking about, can we help the whole industry grow toward a more appropriate name of what these things are, adventure quests or puzzle games or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And we were playing with that. We were talking with some friends in the industry trying to figure out, can we all move this? And in the end, we decided to be happy with the name Escape Games because in a way, what we're doing is letting people escape reality for a little while in a fun, puzzling, adventurous kind of environment. Yeah. And so we stuck with the name Escape Games. But yeah, let me give you a preview of the first game. Go check out the YouTube video that we released just recently. It shows what the first game is all about. But you're stepping into a retro-futuristic, mid-century modern kind of feeling laboratory. And there is a giant robot who's powering himself up and wants to wreak havoc. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but it's bad.
Not good.
Right? Yeah. It's bad.
It's ominous.
And so your goal is to break into the laboratory and shut down the robot before he finishes powering himself on.
Yeah.
And so we have a little bit of animatronics going. We have a custom...
A little bit of yeah. I mean, we're going to get into that a little bit.
but there's that. There's music. There's lighting effects. And so we build really theatrical environments for this to play out. And we like to believe that we're doing it of a quality that meets or exceeds everything else that you've had a chance to experience in this space. Just because we think that's more fun, right?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
It makes for a better experience. So yeah, that's an escape room in a nutshell.
Yeah. Well, you gave me a little bit of a taste of it back there, and it was incredible. Like it was like you are and we were just being guided through it. Like so, I could imagine if my mindset was like, okay, get into this character. It's going to be incredible. You said, so I can't even fathom what this looks like, but the amount of wiring that goes into it.
Yeah, 5.5 miles of wire in that first game. No
just
joke.
one game.
Yeah.
Why? Like, where do they go?
we just put them there. It's like a Faraday cage, you know. We wanted there to be a high level of immersion in interactivity, and that requires a certain amount of tech, right? And we never want to be like a tech first play. That's not what we're about as entertainers. But sometimes you need a lot of tech just to support the interactions you're trying to provide. And so that's for music. That's for lighting. There's a lot of DMX controlled lights in there. That's for button interactions. Sometimes there'll be an array of 10 buttons and you have to figure out what each of them does. And when you push them, they each do different things, right? Yeah. And then when you're done with that thing, this over here turns on and that over there opens up. And so just to make all of that happen, it just takes lots of wires.
Wow. Yeah, seriously.
It's like brain wires as well, right? Like I'm lost. Like, wow, it's incredible. Like it really is.
That first game took us like a year to develop, right? Because of that, the level of complexity, and we'll get better and faster at it, like we did with shakes. But it just takes time. Yeah, a lot of wires.
There's a lot of wires. The computer is what I would call it, for lack of a better term, is 3 foot by 3 foot panel that it all feeds into and then communicates. So and the wire, of course, once you see those all come down, the wire bundle is about that large, just to see all of those come and feed into that.
It's fun, yeah.
Yeah, it's intense.
And then we give you a sidekick when you play the game that's watching the whole time with cameras and microphones. And so we wanted them, that's customary for escape rooms, but we wanted them to have a little bit of control if they needed to turn up or down the difficulty of the game. So that's part of the tech is some of that's automated. Our game actually adapts a little bit as you play to give you slightly different versions of the puzzles based on how good you are at the game. Yeah. What we want to do is, we've beaten games sometimes in 30 minutes, and we walk out and we're like, oh man, the value just wasn't there, right? Yeah. And so we wanted it to be where it's basically an hour-long game, no matter how good you are at it. Yeah. And so that's some of the tech, is the game master has to be able to kind of play with some levers to be able to make the game a little bit easier, a little bit harder for people.
Yeah. But no, like the people playing have no idea.
Right, yeah.
That's in that you were saying like how the music flows to how you're playing the game. It's custom music.
Yeah, we had, so my brother-in-law happens to be a very accomplished composer. He composes for film. He teaches music composition. He's done some compositions for video games. He does great work. Yeah. And so we recruited him to write our score, and we wanted it to have this like eerie, almost sci-fi, alien-ish vibe going into this room, and he nailed it. He used instruments I hadn't even heard of before, and like he just did this really cool job with it. But he wrote a 2-hour score basically for a 1-hour game, because you get fed different elements of the score based on how quickly you're playing. And the whole idea was to amplify emotion, right? Like as you're playing, if you're getting to an intense point, we wanted the music to feel intense. And then as you're getting to a frustrating point, we wanted it to back off just a little bit and feel right. And so there are sections of the score as you go through the game that can feed you kind of different components of that to make sure that it amplifies emotion.
Well, and there's celebration moments in the music too. Like you just solve that puzzle. You can't just be like, okay, like it's the music goes, and next, okay, move to the next stage, kind of thing.
Yeah, and that all happens automatically. That's all fully automated, which is really fun. That was a mess to build, but it's been great.
The attention to detail is pretty crazy. You notice it right away when you start walking in with all the decorations and everything. But I can't imagine very many escape rooms have their own world-renowned composers writing their scores for the games.
That's true.
We're lucky that way, and I mean we believe in that, and we always want to produce it. But it's great when just things align, and it's like my brother-in-law just happens to be a composer, So it was cool.
Well, this has been great. Luke,
before we let you go, I want to know, what are your guys' favorite menu items up there, or
great.
some of the most popular?
So we didn't even talk about the menu much at all, did we?
I stared at the whole time, though.
It's funny. We have such a visual product, and when we opened, we didn't actually have any visuals out because people were already finding it on Instagram and stuff. And we wanted this old-timey feel to it, so we had the menus printed on butcher paper that's hanging on the walls. And we still love that look, but we've had to introduce a couple ways to show the product, because people, if you haven't seen it on social media, you wouldn't grasp it just reading it. But we do classic shakes and stuff, and our shakes are great. You can get a chocolate shake with chocolate whipped cream, and it's fantastic. But we're really known for the killer products, and so we have killer shakes, killer floats, killer hot chocolates. I will say that the best seller, which is a great shake, is the Tuxedo, and that is an Oreo milkshake. It's the cup is rimmed in vanilla frosting and Oreo cookie crumbs. It's got homemade vanilla whipped cream on top. Then we throw on a couple Oreos and a full-size ice cream sandwich. It's
full-size ice cream sandwich.
I like how you threw that in at the end. And a full-size ice cream sandwich.
It's the last topping, right? What's your personal favorite?
Oh, man. My personal favorite is usually anything seasonal, because they're just fun. So like right now we have the Be My Valentine, which is a strawberry milkshake, fudge inside. We use gourmet chocolate inside the milkshake as well. Red velvet cupcake, and chocolate dipped strawberry. So that one's pretty delicious.
It's fantastic.
Other than that, my normal one is either the Let's Split, which is it's a float that tastes just like a banana split, but it's got pineapple cream soda inside. That one's pretty yummy. If you like a banana split, it's true. One of my favorites.
My current favorite, because it's been cold recently, is a new hot chocolate that Kylee developed that I think is just fantastic. So it's really good. So so I'm not usually a hot chocolate fan. They're a little too runny for me. They give me jittery and stuff. And so I challenged Kylee. I'm like, how can we make hot chocolate that all like, right? And so if the rest of you don't, I'm sorry, but I love it. It's so the one that she developed most recently is we call it our cookies and cream hot chocolate, and it is white hot chocolate infused with Oreo crumbs. And so it's just really great flavored, super rich tasting. And then on top is a waffle bowl with a scoop of vanilla ice cream and drizzled with chocolate sauce, a couple Oreos. But that combination has been, to me, really fun flavor to discover.
I was hoping you guys could narrow it down for me. You
no,
have not.
Sorry. Like kids go crazy over our sweet tooth. But what's cool about the sweet tooth is like it's a cotton candy milkshake. I love the cotton candy milkshake. Like we set out to make something that would really appeal to the kids, but it turns out to be just a phenomenal shake product.
Just the shake itself, that, before the ingredients and everything go on.
So good. So good. And then I'd say the dark horse surprise, right, is the Partners in Crime. It's a peanut butter and jelly milkshake, which people are like,
that
really?
Sounds good.
Oh man, it's that combination of PB&J in the shake is really tasty with an Uncrustable on top.
I couldn't see around the corner. I'm like, all right, what crazy thing is on top of this one?
Yeah.
And then a jar of Jif.
Yeah,
I'm noticing a trend of them all actually being 2 desserts inside of one instead of just one single dessert.
They're certainly shareable if you want. Though I'll say that people show up saying, we'll share that. And then they order one and they say, I think I'll take another, right? It's like,
I'm not sharing mine.
for the variety of flavor too. It's fun to try a couple different ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the best parts is the rim around it. That's what you're pointing out over there. What's in that? We put always a rim around the killer shakes, and like fudge to have a chocolate peanut butter shake, but then have all the fudge and peanuts that you want to add to it around as you pull it off the rim. It makes a delicious experience.
That is a good idea. Yeah, because it's like treats on treats.
Yep.
Yeah, and you can mix.
Yeah, you never run out.
No.
I'll say the one challenge we're dealing with on that is to-go orders. In COVID world, a lot of people want it to go. And if you eat it quickly, our product is great to go, but people who've been like, we live on the other side of Phoenix, is it going to make it? And it's like, so we've modified how we make it to go like that, and it works out great. But at first, people were like, "I really, how do I do this? I don't know.
Oh no,
It wasn't meant for that, right?"
You just turn and walk away. Yeah. So how do you adapt to that? Like, how did you adjust to make it so?
Well, so depending on how far people are taking it, one of the options if you're going far is we'll make a shake in 1 cup and then we'll put all the toppings and kind of say build your own at home, show them what it looks like, and that has worked pretty well for people who are looking for that option.
very far.
Yeah,
but I would still say the majority of the people still want it to look they want it to look like though.
Yeah.
That's why you come here, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so they'll say just try to contain it, just try to make it a little bit neater, and we can do that too.
So we'll put a dome lid on it, and then once we start shoving stuff in, by the time you're done, it's like, we tried.
So, they usually eat a few bites and then it's good to go.
Yeah. Then they just sit on the curb and finish it. Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for having us. I cannot wait. I literally can't wait any longer to get one of these. I don't know if it's an option, but
let's make
hopefully,
some.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. So where do people, like you guys, you love Instagram, I know.
Yes.
You talked about a video put out, so you have a YouTube channel?
We do. But website is where we keep the most stable information, right? We'll always be updating stuff on social, but if you go to sodajerkco.com or the nemesisclub.com, and both of them will point to each other, you can find both of them if you go there. Okay. But Instagram for sure. We always have great photos there.
Yeah, beautiful photos. Yeah. Well, I got to taste one now. So
let's do
enough of the pictures. Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Well, guys, there you have it. Another awesome episode in the books, this time with the folks over at Soda Jerk Milkshake Bar. Make sure to give them a visit sometime and tell them we sent you. See you next time.